Hello and welcome to our daily Facebook live stream Zoomcast. I'm Paul Hoyt, the CEO of Ascending Harvest, here with my best buddy, business partner, resident genius, Shane McKenna, and who are going to talk to you today a little bit about the crowdfunding project that we have going on, and a little bit about a really interesting interview he did. I guess you did the interview like a week or so ago, and it started being published today by a fantastic business podcaster, videocaster. I'm not sure what label he puts on himself. I call him a podcaster, but it's not like the iPod anymore. It's a much different kind of thing. Anyway, we're going to talk to you about interviews, how important those are for your business, and point out some interviews and other things, ways that you can become more familiar with the Ascending Harvest project itself. Before we do all that, say hello to everybody, Shane.
Hello, everybody. So glad that you could join us today, and we're going to try and give you some information that might help you with your business and hopefully help you understand a little bit more about ours.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we first do every time we do this is to share it on a different page. So I'm sharing this particular live stream on my timeline right now. Give me a second.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll just keep people busy with my delightful wit. Should I sing a song or, recite a poem? I can't do either, so both of them would be just as bad.
I heard that you were good at poetry, but I also heard, mostly from you, that singing was not one of your special talents.
No.
God can't give all of the talents to just one person. You have your fair share.
That's true. I have my fair share, but, I'm going to have a conversation with God at some point and say, why not the guitar? I just wanted to play the guitar, But I'm sure that the wisdom there that, I would have wasted a lot of time strumming away and, maybe what do they call those people that are street musicians? The
buskers? You could be
buskers. Yeah, I would have been. Maybe my biggest accomplishment in life would have been a mediocre busker if I had gained guitar talents.
Well, I'm grateful that you're not a mediocre busker, that instead you're an inventor genius. I mean, you did this really cool thing called human-powered hydroponics, which we believe will have at least a dramatic impact on world hunger, if not go a long way towards eliminating world hunger. And if we put enough of these systems out there, we put 1 billion of these systems out there, I think we could eliminate world hunger, which, I'm excited to do and we're excited to do. And this crowdfunding campaign that we have going on right now with Indiegogo, is the way that we are starting that. That's the next phase of our growth. It's going on for another 23 days. There's a pinned post at the top of our Ascending Harvest Facebook page. Go there, click on the link, go to Indiegogo, watch the video that we put together with Shane, look at all the information, and kick us $1 or $2 or $5 or 40 or 160. There is one of those levels, one of those perk levels in the Indiegogo campaign that nobody has selected yet, and maybe you're the one to pick it. That's for a $160,000 contribution. I think that would be great. For that, I will fly to your place and I will sing you a song. And I can actually sing. So
yes, Paul, you can.
So any song of your choice. I've got a wide range, singing all kinds of different styles. Whatever you want, I'll work it up. I'll fly to wherever you are and sing it to you and whoever else you want to have in the audience.
And I will accompany you with an air guitar.
With an air guitar.
Because I can't play a mean air guitar.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear. It's not all guitar that I suck at. I can play the air guitar. So I got that going for me.
We may actually have to edit this part out of the recording. But for those of you listening, let's talk about business here for a second. So first order of business, our crowdfunding campaign is underway. We're 1 week into it. We got 3 weeks to go. We need your help. Go to the Indiegogo. You can just search on 3 words, Indiegogo Ascending Harvest, and find it very, very quickly, or you can click on the pinned post at the top of our Facebook page. Get to the Indiegogo campaign. kick us a buck. Even if you've done it before, do it again, because we want to see the momentum continue to build. Even if it's just $1 or $5 or $10, it means a lot for you to contribute to this campaign. So please do that for the first time, or do that again, because we could really use your support. Secondly, we want to talk about an interview that Shane did last week with Devin Thorpe. So Shane, why don't you take over and start talking about that? Who is Devin Thorpe? How did you come into contact with him? How did you come to have the opportunity to interview with him? And how that whole thing transpired, in case other people out there are interested in knowing how they might be able to interview with people who have a very large audience.
Yeah, so Devin, his focus is on how to create a business, or how to create a project that is centered around social good. So his podcast is called Your Mark on the World. And excuse me while I look away here for a little bit, and it's on goodcrowd.info. Goodcrowd.info is the website. And our interview that we did last week is up and live now. And the way I met Devin is I think we were friends on Facebook before we met in person. We run in some of the same business circles. He's a Utah native. I live in Utah. And so we have similar friends and similar interests, and so we connected. I met him in person briefly at a function, a business function, and I've just always been real impressed with his mission, and so I've kept him up to date with our project and our progress because he does focus on humanitarian efforts. And I would like to say he's a fan of our project. It was a lot of fun to do the interview with him. I was actually his 1,000th interview, and his podcast is a top 10 business podcast. He writes for Forbes magazine. He's written multiple books, all centered around social good, how to make a bigger impact on the world, crowdfunding, how to do social enterprise crowdfunding, and a whole lot more information. He's a very, very smart man and has done a lot to move the world forward in helping people be successful at doing projects that have a social impact.
That's very cool. So how did you find the interviewing process? And I know you haven't always been in front of a camera, that over time, Shane, you've become more and more comfortable with being in front of the camera. How did you become comfortable with that kind of a question and answer, just at random, unscripted interview? And what kind of advice would you give to the people who are listening to the recording?
Well, we do that every day. We do a lot. I think every one of our Zoomcasts has been unscripted. In fact, I know they've all been unscripted. We never have a script. We just have a topic idea, and we get on here, and fortunately we are well versed in the things that we talk about, so hopefully we have something interesting to say about that. But the interviewing process with Devin was very easy. His is unscripted as well. He asks you questions. He gets a lot of background information about you, which is helpful because I have done interviews with people who had no background information about me or the project that I was working on. And so it was very difficult because, if people aren't asking relatable questions or they're asking you questions that, come out of left field because they don't know what you're doing, or they make assumptions about what you're doing, that can become really difficult. And it's an uncomfortable situation to have to correct somebody on air. And I've done that, and I've had that with actual live television interviews where questions have come out of thin air that It's like, okay, where did that come from, and how do I do this? And it's, you know, and then you're portrayed as awkward on camera and things like that, or at least I felt I was awkward. Maybe nobody else did, but I certainly did. But as far as becoming comfortable with interviews, I mean, obviously, if you're going to put yourself in a position to be interviewed, you really need to know what you're talking about. Yeah. If you don't know what you're talking about, that's going to shine through, and you know you're going to be a famous meme or YouTube video, not because you did a great job, but because you know you gave us something to be entertained about, and you know, I hope that we don't end up there, but you know, my guitar solo comments might get us there. You know, let's shoot for both ends of the pendulum swing here.
And I'm going to add to that just a little bit, because I really loved what you said about you really need to know what you're talking about. I would add to that equally, you need to know when you don't know what you're talking about. And when somebody asks you a question that you're not sure the answer of, or you don't quite remember what's going on, don't make stuff up. You know, don't be so insecure that it is difficult for you to say, well, heck, I really don't know about that, or I need to look that up, or, you know, I'm going to need to process that for a little bit before I respond. You know, but do everything that you can to maintain your cool, your composure, your sense of confidence. And a lot of that is knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know, and not being the least bit upset or thrown off of your game when somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to. That you're perfectly happy saying, you know, I don't think I know the answer to that one, or this is what I think, but I'm not really sure about it. It actually brings credibility. Your humility, your honest humility about what you know and what you don't know brings a great deal of credibility to the rest of the answers when you really do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, let's talk about that, you know, the whole role of the interviews here for a minute, because Shane and I were chatting just a little bit before we came on. You know, 80 years ago, you know, to be in business, you had to have a storefront and you had to have a phone number. I mean, that was the deal. You could make it to the yellow pages with your business listing in the yellow pages. You had achieved some sort of a status of credibility, and that scene from, you know, the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin, where he finds himself in the phone book, comes to mind. You know, I actually remember when I started my first business in 1980, you know, and I was so excited to see the name of my business at that time in print, in the yellow pages. And people would call me up all the time wanting to get me to do a bigger yellow page ad, because yellow page advertising was a very big deal back in 1980 or 85, which is the time frame of my first business. And it was a big deal. But over time, the way that we reach our marketplace, the way that we find our marketplace, the way the marketplace finds us changes. You know, it used to be radio, TV, and print and yellow pages. And then we started to have a fax machine. And then it was email. And then it became websites. You know, starting about 1997 or thereabouts, you know, everybody was rushing to build their own website on the web to get on the internet. And by the year 2000 or so, or 2001, if you weren't on the internet, you were kind of not in business. You could have a phone number and you could have a yellow pages listing and you could have a business card, but if you didn't have a website, you did not have credibility. So let's fast forward to today. Now we're in the world of digital communications. We're in the world of selfies. We're in the world of live stream videos like this one right here on Facebook. And it's almost to the point that if you're not interacting in a very visual way with your marketplace, you don't have the credibility of those people that do. So we have made a conscious choice here at Ascending Harvest to do these video, what I call Zoomcasts, every single day, live stream on Facebook, take the recording, edit it a little bit, put it up on YouTube, put it on our blog post on our website to repurpose that content in some way so the world can see that we know what we're talking about. They can go in and listen to segments or all of these 31 videos. This today is number 31. and see what kind of credibility that we have. And listen to Shane talk about the invention, listen to me talk a little bit about business, listen to us both deliver inspirational messages and insights that have come to us over time. It really builds your credibility. So that's our encouragement to you, is that you harvest the power that's available on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., YouTube, by creating your own massive amount of digital content and putting it out there so that people will know that you are for real.
Yeah, it's amazing how much traction you can get by having that digital presence. And, I'm very active on social media on Facebook and LinkedIn. The other platforms I'm not active at all on, and I have to set my time and priorities. But that I don't do any advertising for my consulting business. My consulting business comes from word of mouth, and that word of mouth is frequently generated through my connections on LinkedIn and Facebook. When somebody mentions to them, hey, I need some professional engineering services for my product, or we're struggling with a challenge with our process, then somebody who's seen me on Facebook or LinkedIn will say, hey, well, give Shane a call. And that's really how I get my business, is through those channels, of having a presence on those channels and talking a little bit here and there about what I do, and then posting and commenting on other people's interesting content in the same space. And it's having that digital presence, having yourself out there is really, it might not be critical in all businesses, but if you have a business that relies on word of mouth, if you have a business, or if you're doing something like what we're doing now, where we're launching a new product that is a social impact product, you need to have those connections in the digital world. Otherwise, how are people even going to know what you're doing and become interested in it? It would be almost impossible to reach a contemporary audience without that digital presence, with either a consulting business or launching a project, a humanitarian project like what we're doing.
Amen to that. Amen to that. As you were talking, I was reminded of the old question, kind of a joke that says, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Carnegie Hall being one of the most famous stages in the world in New York City. And the answer is practice. And how do you get to be good at digital media? How do you get to be good at interviews, about doing webcasts and live stream videos? And the answer is practice. Any one of us who has ever been on stage remembers that first time when we were on stage in junior high school or college or sometime, and how freaking terrified we were to get out there and be in front of an audience of even 10 or 15 or 20 people or thousands of people, and do our thing. But the way you get better at that is practice, practice, practice. I had an opportunity once to sing a solo in front of 75,000 people. And believe you me, that was an exciting day, a very exciting day, an exciting moment for me to have that opportunity to do that. And then over time, got to be on stage more and more often. Over time, did a lot of office hours presentations for my regular business. Every week I would do a recorded presentation and put it up, so that now I feel very, very comfortable in front of a camera or on stage. And that's what we want you to do too. We want you to feel very comfortable with your own selfie, with your own live stream videos. And the way that you do that is practice, practice, practice. And here's a little tip for you. If you're nervous about it, you don't have to go live to start off with. You can just set up your camera and just practice, and then take a recording and watch it. Have a friend of yours watch it with you. Do the critique. Understand when you're not looking at the camera, but rather you're looking over somewhere else. And understand when you're stuttering and stammering versus being more eloquent in your presentation. And just practice, practice, practice good eye contact and nice, eloquent speaking. So I think that's our encouragement for today when it comes to interviewing and establishing a visual presence on Facebook and other digital media. I think I've reached the end of my rope there. Shane, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, the practice is really important, and this may not come across on camera to our viewers, but I feel personally very socially awkward. You know, my pendulum swings way over into this area where I'm like borderline Asperger's. You know, I don't fit into the bell curve of the normal human experience because of you know, what I do inside my head. And that's always been the case. So I feel quite socially awkward. And I don't know if that comes across when I'm on video or when I'm in a interview, but I certainly still feel it. However, what I've been able to do by taking drama class, by getting up in front of groups and speaking, by doing business presentations, I've learned to become comfortable with the information I share and to be confident and to learn my material well enough so that I think that it helps me to overcome some of that social awkwardness. And, you know, if I can do it, you can do it, because believe me, I am not this polished social person. You know, meet me in person and you probably walk away like, that guy's kind of odd. But, and I'm okay with that. I've learned to accept that about myself, that I am a little bit odd, and that's okay, because, you know, we all aren't the same, and, you know, what I'm doing and what I'm doing with my abilities is different than what other people do. And but just be yourself. Be yourself, and I've learned to become comfortable with myself and be okay with the fact that I don't fit inside the bell curve, and that's okay. And if you own that, and you're genuine, I think that people give you a lot of latitude. But if you try to fake it and cover it up and be something you're not, that's eventually going to come to the surface, and people are going to go, oh yeah, that guy.
I can think of a few people who are on TV frequently where I have that exact thought every time they come on. But Shane, you come across very authentic and very comfortable in your own skin, and very real. You know, it's like, you know, we're having a conversation, you know, every time we just happen to be on camera and recording that conversation so that other people can kind of peek in and watch it every once in a while. So that's what we want for you. We want you to have be very comfortable with interviews, practice the interviews, be very comfortable with public speaking, practice that as well, because it's becoming an essential skill set. You know, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, it was, you know, if you were comfortable on camera, that was a rare thing and a big advantage. Today, it's like that business card, or like that business telephone number, or like that entry into the yellow pages. It's almost becoming a requirement of business. It seems to me that if you look at a bell curve, you know, you've got your averages, and out at the other end you have your extremes where you're 3 or 4, you know, standard deviations above or below the mean. You know, over in the one side of it, you've got the people who just don't have the equipment. They don't have smartphones. They don't have cameras. They don't have internet connections. They can't have a digital presence because they just don't know how. And at the other end of that spectrum, you know, 3 or 4 standard deviations above the mean, you've got people that could do it, but they just don't want to because they've got $250 million in their back pocket, and they don't want to be found for some reason. But for the rest of us who do have some level of competence and who don't have $250 million in our back pockets quite yet, you know, having a digital presence and being comfortable on camera is really, really important.
Yeah. You're saying it don't have 250 million. I'm thinking, I bet I have 57 cents and a half a pack of gum in my pocket right now. So I think I'm a little bit shy of the $250 million mark that you've set there, Paul.
Well, and you know, if you get there, you're not going to get there with Ascending Harvest because we're a social enterprise.
Yeah, that's true.
This is to, you know, take reasonable compensation for ourselves, but this isn't a wealth generating, you know, play for Shane or I. This is an opportunity for us to help people all around the world, you know, have better nutrition, to escape the cycle of poverty and poor nutrition, to increase and improve brain function because they're getting proper nutrition, and really help people who need it the most.
Yeah.
Don't take Shane's intellectual property in the area of other businesses and go make fame and fortune there. But here, this is really a social enterprise and a humanitarian outreach, and we need your help, again, to make that happen. So go to our Indiegogo campaign, go to ascendingharvest.com, sign up for our email list. We'll send you occasional progress reports on the business and especially on our crowdfunding campaign, and interact with us. Be part of our community, be part of our team. We welcome you on board. And when you do that, you will have the opportunity to win a prize. At the end of every one of these Zoom casts, we take a list of everybody who's signed up at our website or contributed to the crowdfunding campaign in some way, and put them in a random drawing for a human-powered hydroponics system to be delivered when we get these in mass manufacturing at probably the end of Q1 19 is our target right now, about 6 months, 6.5 months from now. So every day Shane gives me a number between 1 and 10,000, and I plug it into my little spreadsheet and we announce the winner. What's your number today, Shane?
Push and generate now. It's 4436. Let me see if I can get that to show up. There we go, 4436.
And 4436, the closest person to 4436 is Bruce Larange. Bruce Larange has a wonderful company called O2 Today.
Yeah.
And has been a sponsor and a contributor and a believer, you know, in this project and in Shane for a long, long time. It was great to see him at our launch party last week. And congratulations, Bruce. You are now the proud owner of a human-powered hydroponic system. As mentioned before, we will send one to you when we get it in mass manufacturing at the end of Q1 2019, or you can donate it to a family in need at that time in your name. So congratulations, Bruce. We'd love to have the opportunity to give you one of these systems as well. All you have to do is contribute to our crowdfunding campaign or go to ascendingharvest.com and just sign up so that we can have your email address so that we can send you contact information. I think that's it for me. What about for you, Shane?
Well, I just wanted to give an extra shout out to Bruce because, you know, there's not a lot of things in this world that are more important than clean water, clean air, and clean food. And Bruce is doing his part in the world to provide people with products that help them breathe clean air. And so I'm always excited to share what Bruce is doing because he's one of the good guys. He's moving life forward in a significant way for people by providing a product that gives them a better opportunity in life by enjoying clean air.
Amen to that. Well, we hope that you have an absolutely awesome day and join us again tomorrow on our Zoomcast, where we will give some more updates on our crowdfunding campaign and have another topic of interest that we hope is of interest to you. I know it's going to be interesting to Shane and I because that's the only things we talk about.
Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome day.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.